Before we get started, as you guys can see from the title, this is like with no professional players. So players like Bone Collector, Professor, AJ Lepre, Devontae Friga, those guys will not be here because they've either played professional or they're aiming to play professional basketball. We know AJ Lepre, he was already D1, Devontae Friga, he's D3, and T-Jazz, he's working to go to the D-League. So those types of players, they will not be included into this list. They're good enough to even have their own list, so they won't be included on here. So at number 10, we have CASHNASTY. CASHNASTY is pretty strong. He's athletic. He could get to the rim, and he doesn't have that good of a jump shot. And he's pretty good in a 1v1 setting, maybe even 2v2, but he can't play on 5v5 because he's not that smart. He doesn't have that much IQ, and you can't count on him to guard the other team's best player. His defense is amazing, so that's why he's on this list. He can guard the other team's best player. But as far as offense, he's not very effective. He's not smart enough to maybe like run plays, or he's not smart enough to make good decisions. If the other team's in the zone, I don't feel like he will make smart enough decisions to make good passes or get a shot. So that's why CASHNASTY's number 10. Like I did say though, his defense is good, and that's why he's on this list. So at number 9, we have TD Presents. He knows how the game works. He has a high IQ and he has good fundamentals. He's smart and he could play a role on the team, and that's one of the most important things in a 5v5 game. So let's say you're down by 5 with 1 minute left and you need to go in like a half-court trap defense. TD will be smart enough to make reads. He'll be able to play that defense, and he'll hopefully be able to get you a steal. If you need to play a zone, he'll be able to do that as well. And on the opposing side, if the other team is playing a zone, TD will make the right passes. He'll know where he needs to be. He'll make smart cuts to get you a bucket, whereas somebody like CASHNASTY, they just don't have the IQ to do that. I don't feel like he's been playing long enough. But TD has. He makes smart decisions and he could get his team a bucket and a stop. So that's why he's number 9 on this list. So at number 8, we have Jesser. Jesser's a pretty productive scorer. He could shoot the 3 and he's an efficient scorer. He can also get in the paint, and he's tall at like 6'3 or 6'4. His offense is fine, but the only problem we really have is his defense. I don't know if it's because he doesn't try or if he's just goofing around, but Jesser doesn't really try on defense. He's not as like athletic as the other people. He's not that quick, and therefore his defense is not that good. Against the other people on this list, it will be tough for him to hang because he just can't guard a lot of them. But he is good on the offensive end. Like I said, the only problem is his defense. The other people on this list will probably score on him and be able to stop him. So that's why he comes in at number 8. So at number 7, we have DC Heat. DC Heat is around 6'6", and he could shoot lights out. Like I said, he's 6'6", so he's really tall, and he could probably block a few shots and get a few contests in the paint. He's familiar with the game of basketball because he plays on his high school team, and he has experience on how to score and play defense in a 5-on-5 situation. So that's why he comes in at number 7. The only reason that he's not higher on this list is because the other people are just simply better than him. No knock on DC Heat, but those people just simply lock him up, and they might even be able to score on the other end. DC Heat is still young. He has a lot of potential, but right now he's going to come on this list at number 7. So at number 6 on this list, we have SOLLUMINATI, and everybody knows that SOLLUMINATI is one of the best people on this list. He has the potential to be like the best, but he just hasn't played enough games to prove that. He hasn't played against anybody like Christopher London, Kick Genius, DC Heat. But SOLLUMINATI, from what we have seen, is a really good player. He's 6'6". He has a really long wingspan, and his defense is good. He's really hard to score on because of how lengthy he is. And on the other end, he will score on you. He gets a lot of blocks, and he can get a lot of fast break points. And he is a shooter. He's really tough to guard because he can also take you to the basket. Like I said before, the only reason he isn't higher up on this list is because he hasn't played enough people. So that's why he comes on this list at number 6. So for number 5, we have Duke Dennis. And Duke Dennis is a highly underrated player, but he is that type of guy that everybody wants on their team. He hustles for every single rebound, hustles for every single defensive play, and he can score. He is a shooter, so he can either spot up or he can even run the offense on your team. As you guys can see from this clip, he just hustled for that rebound right there, and he is a straight shooter. So this is somebody that everyone wants on the team. The reason he isn't higher is because the other people on this list are just really good, and they're really ridiculous. So that's why Duke Dennis comes in at number 5. So at number 4 we have Joe Knows. Joe Knows only has a few IRL basketball videos up, but one of them is a video of him dropping 49 points in a 5v5 basketball game, and the other one is him beating Duke Dennis in a 1v1. Duke Dennis was number 5 on this list, so that just tells you how good Joe Knows is. Joe Knows is hard to guard in a 5v5 game because he can pull from anywhere, and if you play him too tight, he will take you to the basket and get a foul. Like I said before, the only reason that he isn't higher up on this list is because he doesn't have enough videos up. So he hasn't played any of the other YouTubers, so we can't really compare him. But you guys can see his game right here. Joe Knows is just the overall bucket, man. So that's why he comes in at number 4 on this game. At number 3, we have Jay Jones. Jay Jones is familiar with the game and he's tough to guard. In a 5v5 setting, Jay will easily be able to score because he has so many moves in his bag. For an example, when he gets past his defender and the big comes to help, Jay can easily hit that pull-up mid-range, or he can get a quick Euro step and get a quick bucket. It's easy for Jay. We've seen over many years that he's also a good passer and that he can always find the open man. So if his defender can't guard him, it's going to be a problem for the other team because Jay is going to get his team a bucket every single time. There isn't many people that can guard Jay, and that's why he's number 3 on this list. He also has a good IQ. So if the team decides to fall into a zone or a trap, he will be able to make the right pass. And that's why he's so good. He has a good IQ and he's basically unguardable. So that's why he comes in at number 3. So at number 2, we have Trey Good. Trey doesn't really hoop anymore, but when he did, you could argue that he was the best basketball YouTuber. He is a playmaker that runs the offense and finds his teammates. When his teammates are feeling it, he feeds them more. And he just makes his teammates overall like better players. Trey is 6'1", and he's very athletic, and he's probably more athletic than anybody else on this list, and that's what makes him so unguardable. He can knock down the open 3, and he could be a leader for his team. He can also get in the paint and draw fouls, so that's why I have Trey at number 2 on this list. So for number 1 on this list, we have Christopher London, and Chris is that player that everybody wants on their team, and nobody really wants to go up against him. Because Christopher London, he's a shot blocker and a shooter. He blocks everybody's shot, and it's basically impossible to go into the paint on him because he just blocks everything. He's so tall, and his ability to shoot is also very crazy. He could basically pull from anywhere past half court, and he's really tough to guard because you do have to pick him up as soon as he crosses half court. Chris is the best player on this list because with his height and his skill set, he can contribute more to a 5v5 game than any of the other people on this list and anybody else in the community. With Chris, you can easily go into a zone defense and leave it up to him to block any shots in the paint. And you can also pick and pop with him, which would be deadly because he could basically shoot over anybody and he could pull from anywhere. This is why Christopher London is number 1 on this list.